Good morning. Welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill, Unitarian Universalist. My name is Jean McKinney, and I am a member of the Worship Associates Ministry. I especially want to welcome any visitors or newcomers to our church and call your attention to the special note on the back of the order of service, Welcome Guests and Newcomers. I would also like to welcome those of you attending online. The lyrics to hymns and all elements of the service may be found on the live stream screen, and a complete order of service, including this week's announcements, is available via the link in the Sunday morning email and on the church website. Please turn off or silence any cell phones so that we might have a worshipful experience. Each year, the Worship Associates Ministry hosts the greening of the sanctuary and the chili dinner immediately after the greening. This year, it will be on Saturday, December 2nd. Please look for our table during the coffee hour for more information. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. And this morning, Rachel Rose is going to speak to us about her 50 and OWL class. Okay. Well, we may do that a little bit later. Or they're getting Rachel now, I think. Okay, she's coming. 50 up an OWL class.
There she is.
There she is.
I apologize for the delay. I'm Rachel Rose, Director of Membership and Communications, so I was out there serving the membership by communicating. I apologize. I am also a volunteer in the Our Whole Lives Sexuality Education Program, and maybe you know about this program for children and youth, but did you know that the newest curriculum is for adults 50 years and older? It is a holistic sexuality education program for older adults that models and fosters caring, compassion, respect, and justice. It balances knowledge building with exploration of attitudes, values, and feelings about one's own and others' sexuality. It's comprehensive and progressive, addressing sexuality with candor, sensitivity, and respect for older adults' wisdom and life experience. The course is co-facilitated by me and trained facilitator Liz Ness, as well as Emmett Farringer, and we will address sexuality and values, attitudes about aging, examining sexual scripts, the sexual body, sexual orientation and gender identity, intimacy, sexual consent and boundaries, family matters, sexuality and loss, reframing sexuality, disability, and chronic illness, body image, dating as an older adult, safer sex, and sex beyond basics. Workshops include alternate activities and multimedia resources to accommodate participants' specific needs and interests, and the curriculum encourages multi-generational communication with family members or others who play a significant role in participants' lives. This curriculum consists of 13 two-hour workshops, Thursdays from January through March, and we're going to hold them all on Zoom at 6:30 p.m. and is open to all adults 50 and up who pledge to this church. We hope you'll join us for this life-affirming, life-changing information. Participants in the 4-workshop introductory course said that their favorite things were its interactive nature, content and competence of leaders. It was very practical and down to earth in its perspective on sex as you age, and the conversations that we had with each other and with other participants, openness about elder sexuality, and hearing from other participants about their experiences. To learn more about course topics, class times, expectations, and more, please join us for the information session on Thursday, November 30th at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. You can RSVP with me via email or during fellowship at the Sunday socials. And my email, in case you don't remember it by heart, is on the back of your order of service. Thank you.
Please stand in body or spirit for our opening hymn. Here we have gathered. It's on page 360 of your gray hymnal. Thank you for being here this morning and for giving me the gift of your attention in this moment. There are so many, many things clamoring for you to notice them. There might be breaking news on the TV, something so important for you to know about. Don't miss it right after the commercial break. Your phone, if you didn't turn it off, you did turn it off, right? Your phone would be buzzing and beeping and alerting you of important things. And right at this moment, While you are giving your attention to the worship service, something on social media is going viral. The cutest picture of a pet ever, the funniest joke ever, an inspirational saying that will change your life forever. And we're all missing it. The world is clamoring for your attention. So what will you give your attention to? To kindness? To justice? To beauty? To children? To community? Come, let us give our attention to what is worthy of our lives as we worship together. You will find the words for our chalice lighting in your order of service, and if you wish to do so, please join me as we read them. So come now, love greater than my longing, silence greater than fatigue of tongues, and haul my heart away from the undue frenzy of the season, and bestow it to rest, proportion, and the haunting dark beauty of winter's long nights.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll ever know. And then I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you.
Each week we hold in our service a time for sharing the joys and the sorrows that we bring with us into this community. It's during this time, if you've come with either a significant personal joy or a sorrow, that you're invited to come forward, place a stone in the bowl, say your name into the microphone, and briefly share your joy or your sorrow. Let us enter into this time of tenderness and trust.
Good morning, Dorothy Hammett, and it is a wonderful world. Thank you all for your healing thoughts. Because of you, I'm progressing much faster than I ever thought I would, and it's wonderful. It's great to be with all of you. I needed to get out of the house.
Hi, I'm Terry Brooks, and I have a great joy that my cousin and his wife from Israel are here with us for several days at least. And it's been 19 years since I've seen them, so we're really excited about this.
I'm Judy Lechner, and I have two joys. I thought I only had one, but seeing Dorothy here with just a sling, and I imagine a cast, and doing so well, that's a joy. And the other one is we had very, very close friends visit us for Thanksgiving. We spent the whole week with them, and it was just, we hadn't seen them for 5 years. We used to go together to the Auburn Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, and it was just delightful.
Hi, I'm Ruth Gibson, and I come today with a very great joy. Our daughter-in-law in Arizona, who was diagnosed with advanced breast cancer last March, has completed her chemo and her surgery and her radiation. She's feeling fine. She's cancer-free for the time being, at least. I know there's future checkups and injections and things, but we're also grateful that she came through this okay.
My name is Sivaraman. I'm Vijay Sivaraman's father, and we are visiting from Houston, Texas, to spend time for Thanksgiving. In the middle of enjoyment what we had here last couple of days, I had a bad news from Houston. A friend of mine, Dr. Nat Krishnamurthy, he was seriously ill and he was admitted in the hospital, and so I told him we'll pray for him for a faster recovery. Thank you.
I have two stones that I've been asked to place from the Immigrant Justice Initiative. The first is that Jamie, who was the first asylum seeker who we sponsored, has a new job, and that her chronic anxiety is doing better and is under better control. The second is that Rosa Cruz. Rosa was in sanctuary at the Church of the Reconciliation for 2 years, and then stayed with us in the manse for a short time before finding a permanent apartment. Rosa welcomed a new baby boy named Liam. a little bit premature and is in the NICU getting fully cooked, but both mother and baby are healthy and well. And a final stone is placed this morning for all those joys and sorrows which we hold in our hearts, which were not spoken. I would invite you to join with me in a time of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, source of our being and our becoming, we hold the joys and the sorrows, the struggles and successes, the worries and the hope of this community in our hearts. We are thankful this day, thankful for healing, for recovery. For those of us who are facing illness, who are recovering from surgery, who are facing challenges, we hold in our hearts gratitude for what health and recovery and wellness are possible. In this season, this time, we give thanks for the gifts of family and friendship and visiting, joys and delight whenever they are possible. We hold in our hearts those who are struggling in this time. Who face grief, loss, and pain. We hold in our hearts as well the pain of this world, the struggle of war and violence. We recommit ourselves to the ministry of care, the ministry of compassion, and the ministry of speaking out for our values, our longings, and our hopes. In the midst of all of the joys and the sorrows, spoken and unspoken, let us take a moment of silence together to let our own individual prayers mingle and meld as one. I invite you to be still with me for a moment. Amen. And blessed be. Our prayers have been shared and spoken and held in silence. Now let us sing together. Our meditation hymn is number 352. It's called Find a Stillness, and I invite you to remain seated as we sing together.
Hold the stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
How full was the inn at Bethlehem? Too full. How full are our lives? Too full? Too full of society to have room for family? Too full of activities to have room for accomplishments? Too full of responsibilities to have room for simple joys? Too full of business to have room for religion? Too full of busyness to have room for thought and prayer? Too full of self-interest to have room for common needs? Too full of regrets to have room for hope? Too full of fear to have room for faith? Too full of suspicion to have room for love? Too full of conflict to have room for peace and goodwill? Too full of noise to have room for angel choirs? Make room. Clear away the debris. Open the doors of your heart. The things that matter will not clutter or crowd your life. The things that matter will enlarge the orbit of your being until you are large enough to contain all that is worthy of being welcomed.
Freely have we received gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. Gladly we bring to our church and its wide concerns a portion of this bounty. If you wish to donate online, please point your camera at the QR code on the back of the order of service and tap the banner that appears, or there's information on the church's website. Now we will receive this morning's offering.
need much to be happy. Four walls and a roof overhead, books and food in my belly, cool sheets upon the bed. A fire that warms up December, the sound of a thaw in the eaves. Sometimes it's hard to remember how tough we are to please. All in good time, somehow I find days that still shine in a light. All in good stead, I'm safe and I'm fed with dreams in my head. Good night. The feel of my hand being taken, driving at night all alone. The breeze on a warm summer's evening and coming home. All in good time, somehow you find days that still shine with a light. All in good stead, you're safe and you're fed with dreams in your head. Good night. Don't need much to be happy. A friend to soften a fall, and something to show for my labors. After all, I had to learn to be grateful. I had to learn how to see mistakes that might have proved fatal are gifts I now receive.
Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, Danny, for playing our special music this morning, some Louis Armstrong, some Mary Chapin Carpenter. I had my musical awakening with the grunge and alternative rock of the early 90s, and my sermon titles have been sort of hinting, not on that, but have sort of been going back there. 2 weeks ago, last time I was in the pulpit, my sermon was entitled Smashing Pumpkins. And this morning it's entitled Unplugged. And Unplugged was, for those who were part of the MTV generation, MTV had this series of concerts in like the early 90s where they took mostly bands who were used to playing really, really loud electric guitars with lots of distortion and said, what if we do a concert where we put them in a room and make them play acoustic? What will they sound like? One of the most famous Unplugged concerts was Nirvana, and Danny and I were reminiscing about that, and Eric Clapton and Tony Bennett too, who won a Grammy for his Unplugged album. I said I chose Unplugged, but I was really unsure about either. It was either going to be Unplugged as a title or Rage Against the Machine, and I think either title will work, and you'll see why. For some people here this morning, this hour or so spent in worship will be the longest period of time this week outside of sleep during which they do not look at a screen. Let me say what I just said a second time. For some people here this morning, perhaps for more than a few people here this morning, this hour spent in worship will be the longest period of time this entire week outside of sleep during which they do not look at a screen and during which they are unplugged from media and digital technology. I shared this observation a few weeks ago with members of a group I was leading here at the church, and someone in the group turned to me and said, "That's not true, Thom. That's just not true. Often when you mention a book in your sermon, I'll look it up on Amazon on my phone during the service." So maybe you don't even get an hour. You can see where this is going. Before we jump right into this morning, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, my intention is not to set up a simplistic dualism. Screens bad, screenless good, social media bad, unplugged good, Facebook bad, face-to-face good. That's not my message. Second, I want to be clear that I'm not accusing anyone of moral failings. I don't want anyone to leave this morning and say, wow, the minister really made me feel like a bad person because I went down the YouTube rabbit hole last night. So there's no shame. There's no shame or judgment in my message. And I want to say one other thing, which is that ministers, I think, have two types of sermons. One kind goes, I, the minister, have this deep wisdom and sophisticated knowledge and expertise and acumen. Let me share it with you. And then there's the other type, which is I struggle profoundly with this thing I'm talking about, and I'm really bad at it. And the sermon is an invitation for us to struggle together, but really I'm actually preaching the sermon that I really need to hear. And this morning's sermon is definitely that second kind. I am not a role model. The reason we have this year-long theme of connection in the first place was that last spring I asked the members of the worship ministry to talk about the things they were struggling with, and the first person to speak up talked about feeling disconnection within her family. She talked about how much time together was really spent with members of her household, each ensconced in front of different screens. One child would be on video games, another child on TV, another child on social media, her doing work email, her husband web surfing, and how this tendency was causing her to experience a lack of connectedness, and how what she longed for was a greater sense of connection. Has anyone ever felt that in your social groups, households? Marian Hirsch, our Director of Religious Education here at Community Church, had two things on this subject that she wanted me to be sure to share with you. The first thing she wanted me to share with you is that she has a strict rule about youth not being allowed to be on their phones during youth programming. Phones, Marian explained, are something that you turn to when you're either bored or uncomfortable. Bored or uncomfortable. You're bored with what's happening, so you turn to the screen to alleviate boredom and get sucked in. Or you're feeling shy or self-conscious or timid or socially uncomfortable, so you turn to your screen as a way of avoiding the social discomfort you're experiencing in that moment. But that how you actually build community, Marian said, is that you get people to interact with each other to do the work of working through discomfort and working through boredom and breaking through that into creativity and fun and joy. Marian explained that the phone keeps us in this middle space, never fully bored, never fully uncomfortable. We don't experience the fullness of the lows, but you also don't get the fullness of the highs either. I'm reminded of that line of poetry by Marge Piercy that I used to introduce this theme of connections. Connections are made slowly, the poet writes. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot always tell by looking at what is happening. Connections are made slowly, and they're made by passing through stages of boredom and discomfort. The other thing that Marian really wanted to make sure I tell you is that we should understand that the mega billionaires who have profited immensely by making screens a ubiquitous part of our lives all seem to have one thing in common, which is that all of them are deeply concerned about limiting their children's use of social media. And many of them themselves try to live as screenlessly as possible. People like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and so on all place strict limits on screen time and either didn't or don't let their young children have smartphones or tablets. I read one piece from a business publication that toured the ultra-exclusive private schools where the richest executives in Silicon Valley send their children. And when they toured these schools, they found the classrooms equipped with old-fashioned chalkboards and the children using number 2 pencils and no screens, no computers at all. And I think this probably tells us something, right? I think there's probably something there that's worth paying attention to. There's a story that I think about sometimes. So when I was in college, I worked as a lifeguard at a pool. And the other lifeguard I shared shifts with was this young man who had become a fundamentalist Christian. He was the type of fundamentalist Christian who believed that the secular world was the domain of Satan, and that his faith asked him to limit his exposure to all of the satanic worldly evils in the secular world. So when he converted, he renounced Satan by destroying his video games and by burning his CD collection of rock music. And when he had done this, he found that he had a lot of free time. And he was very bored. And his friends, who were also Christians in the same ilk that he was, were bored as well. So out of boredom, he learned how to become a pastry chef and learned to bake all of these amazing desserts. And sitting there on the lifeguard stand talking with him, I had to bite my tongue because I was so tempted to ask, so Satan can work through video games and rock and roll, but Satan can't work through cheesecake? But I restrained myself. Because there was, in this story he was telling me, there was something really beautiful and tender and wholesome about this image of a group of 15-year-old boys perfecting a recipe for molten lava cake. This young man's theology was problematic, but the connection he had created was real. The community was real, the friendship was real, the creativity was real, and it was beautiful in a way. Needless to say, my message to you this morning is not about renouncing Satan. It's not that screens are bad, that video games are bad, that TV is bad, that Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and ones that I don't even know about are bad, that being sucked down the YouTube rabbit hole is bad. I'll let you come to your own conclusions. I am not, though, an all-or-nothing fundamentalist. And I spend too much time on many of those things. My message this morning, instead, is that our attention is holy, and that choosing what we will pay attention to is a holy act. We live in a world that clamors for our attention. View this, click that, follow this other thing, consume, look, keep looking, keep scrolling, don't look away. Your attention is so badly desired. What will you do with it? Poet Mary Oliver famously wrote in her poem, The Summer Day, "I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention. How to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day." Ralph Waldo Emerson put it this way: a person will worship something, have no doubt about that. We may think our tribute is paid in secret in the dark recesses of our hearts, but it will come out. That which dominates our imaginations and our thoughts will determine our lives and our character. Next Sunday marks the beginning of the season of Advent. In the Christian liturgical tradition, Advent is one of the two penitential seasons, the other being Lent. Now, we Unitarian Universalists do not have much of a practice of observing either Advent or Lent. We don't like those penitential seasons. And when I say penitential, that doesn't mean like punishment. It is supposed to, though, be a season of preparation, of slowing down, of making space, of taking time, and of giving your attention to the things that deserve your attention. Yesterday, I noticed something that a member of our church posted on Facebook. He said, quote, "Beginning Monday, I'm going to step away from social media for a few weeks. I'm satisfied with the way I use Facebook, but I think it's useful to pause periodically to reflect and be sure. And I apologize in advance for missing your birthdays, milestones, and cool events." Now, I sincerely doubt that this member of our church is doing this out of any sort of Advent practice. But it does kind of fit with the season. And so I ask, what is it that we will give our attention? Our attention that is so holy that the world is clamoring for it. That everyone wants it. Everyone says, look at this, keep looking at this, don't look away. And so I ask you to answer this question: what will you give attention to in this time and in this season? To kindness, to justice, to beauty, to children, to community. It is on you to finish the sermon with your thoughts and with your living. Go forth in love this day. And we're going to sing, I've chosen some hymns this morning that we haven't sung in a while, but were some hymns that I used to sing all the time. And we're going to end with one this morning that's really very fun. It is an old Shaker tune, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple." The words you can look up on your cell phone. No, just kidding. The words, oh, and I should say it's not 15, it's 16. So in the hymn, so don't even believe everything you read. It's hymn number 16 or is it 15? Oh, it says 16 there? Oh, well, look at that. It is correct. It is number 16. So, yeah, if you want to, Susan, have at it. All right. And let us rise in body or in spirit as we sing together.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
So please remain standing. The words for extinguishing the chalice are in your order of service. Please join me if you wish to do so. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. So let's just thank everybody who has contributed, the musicians. And if you wish to hold hands, do so. And please join us in singing Shalom. The words are Shalom, my friends, Shalom, my friends, Shalom, Shalom. We'll meet again, we'll meet again, Shalom, Shalom.